I love it when I read a book about a part of history that I know nothing about and it totally opens my mind. These are some that you should also read. The book that inspired this video, Pachinko. This takes place over decades throughout the 1900s and follows a girl throughout her life and her womanhood, as well as her family and the people around her as she immigrates from Korea to Japan. I knew nothing about the Japanese occupation of Korea or literally like any of the politics involving those two countries, so I learned a lot and I was absolutely blown away by how real all of this felt. It is a beautiful story. 5 stars, could not recommend it enough. Another multi-generational story is Homegoing. This follows the lineage of a family throughout decades, but starts in Ghana in the 18th century. There are two women who are half-sisters. They don't know it, and their lives take completely different trajectories. One is brought to the United States while the other stays in Ghana. Much like Pachinko, this also felt so real, and another like point in history that I knew very little about. Phenomenal. Minor Detail follows two timelines, the first of which begins in 1949 on the Israel-Palestine border. This is a very short book, so I don't want to give too much away, but these two timelines kind of piece together a tragedy that occurred during this time. These things that are connected by one minor detail. It's also just a very hard-hitting, beautiful work of fiction. Ruta Sepetys is like the master of writing stories about little-known historical events, like Between Shades of Grey, which follows a girl and her family as they're taken from their homes in Lithuania and forced into labor camps in Siberia during the Second World War. This was a real thing that happened, and I knew nothing about it. My favorite Ruta Sepetys book is Salt to the Sea, which is about a catastrophic maritime disaster. This is also set during World War II and follows the forgotten tragedy that was 6 times deadlier than the Titanic. Quote from the back. This is one of my favorite books ever. It made me cry so much, and I'm scared to reread it. The Fountains of Silence takes place in 1950 Spain, and wow, I knew nothing about this point of history or like the fascism in 1950 Spain. This again is a beautiful story, but I felt scandalized by the things that I learned from real life history. I Must Betray You follows a teenage boy during the Romanian Revolution. This was a time when neighbors were turning against neighbor because people were being enlisted to spy on each other and you couldn't really trust anyone, and that's where a lot of the conflict comes in this book. This is the 1980s. This is so recent. How did I not know about this? Even if you're reading fiction, that's a great way to learn about history. I highly recommend all of these books. I think you should check them out just to like learn more about this rock that we live on.